Hey, GM everyone. Got a really exciting show. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with my friend Envon Pence. We got a sponge in the house. He's going to be here to talk to us about mercurials and building and little nouns and VRGDA, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to get started right after this intro. Hey, GM Nick, how are you?
GM, doing great. How are you doing, Panda?
I'm doing good. You are on Twitter at Envon Pence, right?
Yep, that's me.
You are the coder extraordinaire of Little Block Party. We got to start off. We got to check out the Block Party. That's how you and I met. I don't know, last year sometime, right?
Yeah. I think fall-ish, September or so. We linked up, built a little block party. Um, Definitely one of the, my biggest accomplishments, I think, in Web3. One of the things I'm most proud of. It's a really cool experience.
Almost 50 ETH flowed
Yeah,
through your contract.
yeah, and still going. I think. I mean, every time I check it, it's higher. So I think people are still using it.
They definitely are. Right before we went on air last night, somebody settled this beauty. Look at this.
Nice.
Look at this panda, huh? Um, yeah, so I've been trying to get you on for a long, a long time to talk about mercurials. Um, yeah, where to start with this project? You've been working on it for a while. It kind of sort of came out of Little Noun's work. It's art. Yeah, where do you want to start?
Sure. So I guess like the one sentence summary of this project is that it's a on-chain generative art project that features a continuous burn to mint gradual Dutch auction. So that's like a pretty densely packed description, and there's kind of a lot in there. We can go through the different parts of that if we want. But basically, the main motivation for this and why I wanted to make something, produce my own sort of NFT project, it really starts with sort of my own interest in on-chain NFTs, and seeing like all the different like opportunities there were to like push the technology there. For those that aren't like fully aware of like what an on-chain NFT is, it's basically like an NFT where all the data that you need to sort of like render the image, all that can be fetched from the chain directly. So a lot of the times, I would say like most of the time, almost all I would say a large majority of like NFT projects, they store the actual images and animations off chain, and so the only data available on the blockchain on Ethereum is usually a link to either like a website or like an IPFS content hash. And so you basically, when you're trying to actually like view the NFT, you go to the blockchain, you get that link, and then you actually just like load the website or load the content from IPFS. And that's fine. But when I kind of realized that, I thought it was kind of a bummer because, um, when you imagine like NFTs, like one of the, you think they're like, oh, they're blockchain based tokens. But then when you realize like a lot of like, the big part, like the image is like off chain, it kind of detracts from it. And there's also like a number of other benefits too to on-chain NFTs as opposed to off-chain. But um, well, I learned that there are a few projects out there that actually manage to put all the data on-chain, and those really were the ones that caught my interest. And that's actually how I got into nouns and Lil Nouns, was because I was like, oh, this is cool. These are projects that are actually doing everything on-chain. That's really interesting as a builder, and as somebody who like appreciates like the technical details of this. So once I kind of realized that, I started thinking like, okay, what are different ways you could push this? You know, what are some new constructions you can make? Because there's like a lot of like new things you can do with this, because this is a relatively unexplored area, and I think they're cool. I think NFTs are cool. I think on-chain NFTs are cool. So I just wanted to like make something basically, and this was the output.
Okay, so just before we went on the air here, I went and I clicked on your OpenSea link. I guess this is to a test net. And I saw there have been 2 of these minted, right? I guess probably both of these are yours.
Yeah, so I haven't actually gone live with this. So right now it just exists on Goerli. I think next week is probably when I'll do the mainnet deploy. That's the week of May 8th. But yeah, right now it's still just on Goerli. And yeah, both those are me.
Okay, so where I got really interested was when I saw that there were traits on this here. And it's got like a base frequency, and it seems like these variables are large. Like the scale here says 113 semicolon 1 semicolon 113. How many different scales are there within the mercurial collection?
Quite a lot. Like there's a good chance that you'll probably have a unique token with respect to like a lot of these different attributes. I think the ranges here for each first. So like basically what this is like this is one of the things that controls the animation. So like there's 2 different animations happening on these tokens in the background, and the attributes that are being animated, one of them is like this scale value. So it shifts from, in this case, like I forget what it actually was, like 113 to like 10, and then back to 113. So like that's like what that means in terms of like the scale value, is that it's animating from one value to the other and back. And the actual like potential like scale values that you have, like I think it's like it can go from at least 0 to 250, or like maybe 250 to negative 250, or something along those lines. So there's a really wide range, and you can fall anywhere in the middle of that. So like it could just, you could get like a scale value that doesn't animate at all, and like your token actually be frozen, or you could have like a massively like the actual amount of change in the animation could be like quite large, if it like goes from negative 250 all the way to 250, like, because then that would be like a 500 unit change over the course of the actual animation. So it's like I don't know, I haven't done the probability on it, but there's quite a lot of different possible values there. So yeah, and then there's another like piece which is important, which is like the actual animation length. So the scale will tell you like the magnitude of the change in the image, and then the animation like duration will tell you sort of like how quickly that will happen. Like it might happen over 1 second, or I think at most it might happen over like 60 seconds. So creates like a pretty like wide just like range of like possible animations there. Like you can have things that change significantly over a long period of time, significantly over a short period of time, not that much over a short period of time, not that much over a long period of time, and then anywhere in between all those different combinations.
Okay, and so I'm at sort of your main site, and it says here, it shows this image, and it says it's expiring this block here in about 3 seconds, counting us down, and now we got a new one. And it looks like 60 seconds, about 5 blocks. What does this image represent? What is it? What are the inputs that are creating this output?
Yeah, so the inputs are the traits, or actually, like at the end of the day, it's just a seed value. Like each token has one seed value, and from that seed, you generate a number of like trait values basically. But what controls like what the actual image is the traits. And depending on what the values are for the traits, you're going to get a different image. So like, yeah, we explained that a little bit for like the scale values, but yeah, all like what exactly this looks like depends on the values of the traits, which are all just controlling like different, like tweaking different like parameters of this SVG. So like so the actual image here is an SVG, which is sort of a lightweight format, which allows us to get a lot of, these kind of like rich images and animations on chain, because actually what's happening is like SVGs are really just a program that you pull from the chain, and then that then is actually run in your browser. And so each one of these traits are different like parameters that tweak like how the SVG is rendered. And I don't know how many traits there are. I think there's like 11 different ones. And so there's like 11 different parameters that skew things, in different ways. And so if you actually like to pull the SVG code, like you'll actually see like your traits in the actual SVG code. So like that scale value, like you'll be able to, if you actually like view sourced and looked at the thing, like at this token, like you can actually see, oh, like that's actually in the SVG itself, and that's what's controlling what it looks like.
How many different possible animations are there?
I mean, I think I think like technically it's limitless, because each one of, I don't think you're gonna ever have any ones that are the same. Like I think that's pretty much impossible just based on the like the probabilities of it. There's just, I just think it's extremely unlikely. But you could have a few that look very similar, right? There's like there's like a decent like range of the possible outputs here, but they also they all somewhat look like each other. You'll find 2 or 3 that that look kind of the same. I think like there's a reasonably wide distribution of outputs, which I'm pretty happy with. It's sort of like the first time doing kind of a generative art project, but yeah, they may end up looking similar, but every single token is unless there are bugs, like they should be totally unique. And yeah, basically limitless, like not calculable number of
Amazing. Yeah. You've got a button here. I guess this is not enabled because I haven't connected my wallet. These 4 words in this sequence, kind of rare in the NFT space: burn, ether, and mint. Why'd you do that? Why do you mint by burning?
Yeah, so, and also curious if you have feedback on like if I should change the text of the button. I wanted to make it clear that you were actually burning the ether, that was actually getting destroyed. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll put this in the button, but I don't know, maybe there's better way to do that. Appreciate feedback on any part of this too. Yeah, as far as like the motivation for like the burning ether, like, but just to actually like step back and explain like how this works. It's a continuous auction happening at all times. So there's always one NFT for sale at all times. You can buy it for the quoted price. In this case, 0.00076 Gorley ETH. And every 5 blocks, a fresh image, sort of fresh token is generated, which lasts 5 blocks. So you have 5 blocks to, decide if you want to buy the token. And if you do, you can click burn ether and mint. And if you get your transaction in on time, you'll receive that token. And the ether you use to purchase it will be burned. So it'll basically go to the contract. It'll get locked up there, and there's no way to withdraw the funds from that contract. So it's effectively burning it. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't come across anything quite like this. I think burn to mint a lot of the times, I think in people's minds might mean like, okay, like burn one NFT token that you already have and get like the next, like the version 2 of it, like burn old token, get new token. In this case, that's not what I mean. It's like burn the ether to mint, meaning that you still have to pay for the token. You still have to, you have to spend the ether, but that's not going to, any address that anyone can control. And so the motivation there, well, I think the first part is like, it has this nice property where you're sort of like giving back to the Ethereum community a little bit, because you're taking that ether out of circulation. So everyone's pretty familiar with like the merge and like the benefits. Everyone's excited about like the ether burn there. So if you kind of like buy into that and think like, okay, burning ether is kind of a net, is like a public good, then I think that that's kind of a nice thing. It's like, okay, this is like, in actually participating in this project, you're actually giving back to the Ethereum community as a whole. So I think that's kind of like one of the driving factors there. I thought that was cool. The second is like, there's actually a technical problem that needs to be solved, which burning ether helps with. So I wanted this to, because it's like an on-chain generative art algorithm, it has the capacity to kind of go on forever, right? Just like nouns, because all of the whole algorithm for generating nouns like lives on chain. It's not like it lives off chain and then you upload a bunch of outputs on chain. Like one of the technological like feats of nouns is like, oh, all this exists on chain. So one of the things you can do with nouns is like have this like continuous auction that goes on forever, because you could always generate new, interesting, unique nouns. And that's like a property of just like, on-chain generative art. And that's one of the things you can do with it. So I wanted to have, and because, that I did something similar with this project, it kind of, there's limitless amount of outputs and it can run fully on Ethereum. I wanted to make it so, I wanted to basically make it so it was like an uncapped supply, and you could like you wouldn't like mint out. Like there would always be potential, like I wanted it to go on forever. Like, if Ethereum exists past when like after I die and I'm on, like it would be very cool to see like a project like continue on. So like that was like one of the properties I wanted to have, was like this long lasting auction that, really never ends. But I didn't like it. But if you do like a naive implementation of that, then you run into you basically run into issues where, okay, if I were to like collect the funds for myself, like if I were to just like instead send the funds to me, like, or if you were to like set up a DAO, like what Nouns does, like then you have this whole DAO infrastructure that you have to deal with, and it's just like another dependency that you have to get like people engaged and motivated. And it's just like managing a treasury is difficult. It's basically the main thing. Is that like, okay, I've set up this whole thing, and now we have all these funds coming in. Now what do we do with the funds? Like there's just a lot of overhead, and it complicates things. So in order to just like simplify this, and take myself out of the art, and move like the profit incentive, those kinds of things, and make it so like, okay, if you just burn the ether and give back to the Ethereum community, it's like a simple one, decision where it allows, like, it just removes a lot of complicated issues, and allows the project to go on in perpetuity. So I think those were the main reasons. It was just like, okay, giving back to the Ethereum community simplifies the project and sort of enables it to go on forever. And it also is like removes kind of like, it detaches like the profit incentive from the art. I'm not really trying to profit off this project at all. I'll have to buy them just like everybody else. If anyone else is interested in picking one up, I'll be buying them with you. And I think that's nice, because like a lot of people got like ripped off, like, and I don't know, it just like removes that from the equation. Like, I think artists should earn and stuff, but I think in this case it was just easier to remove it. Yeah.
Hey, that's actually kind of a good place to stop. I've actually sort of got a technical issue right now, but you said you're not going to launch this till next week. So this is my bad, but I'm going to have to reschedule this, and we will finish this interview and get into this kind of forever sort of thinking that's really shifted this project. Envon Pence, thank you so much. Really sorry about this, but we'll connect right after, and we'll get back to you, audience, and we will finish this live stream, man. Thanks so much, Nick.
Yep, absolutely. Sounds good. Talk to you later.
Okay.